What if the most important conversations you have this month aren't the ones that get you a client, but the ones that start a relationship? That's the funny thing about relationship marketing. You almost never know which conversation is going to create the biggest ripple. Recently, I had a speed networking we were in an event and Kristen and I were matched, and we decided that we needed to have a longer conversation. So we booked a coffee chat with each other. At the time, it was just a really good chat with someone who we've seen around in the same group over and over. But as we got to get to know each other and talk about our businesses, we found other ways that we could support one another. I had no idea that one conversation would lead to not one, but two opportunities to guest teach inside of her community of my ideal clients. And that's when it reinforced the idea that conversations rarely end when you think they will. They often become the start of something much bigger. Another example is when you see the same people in the communities that you are active in. If they're active, you're active, that's where you're getting visibility. And because you're giving value, that's making you shine. Someone who comes to mind is Becky, and we are in several communities together on the school platform in particular. And we comment on each other's posts, we reply to each other's ideas, and little by little, I've learned who she is, how she helps people, what her business is about, and even a bit of her life outside of her business. I know that she loves Disney. I follow her celebrating milestones with her family, and that is not something that I would ever learn from a 30-second intro in a speed networking or a group networking event. And this is where trust, it's not built in one conversation. It's built through small moments over time. I want you to think about somebody who's visible in communities that you're like, oh my gosh, that person is everywhere. And how have you gotten to know them throughout course of time, and how have they gotten to know you? Also, I am more likely to refer someone to Becky because I know she shows up. I know how she shows up. And because of course, I don't know her business inside out. She's the expert at what she does. But because I have a fundamental understanding that she helps parents who maybe were raised with a traumatic background, or they didn't have a stable family of their own, and they're trying to be good parents to their own children, I am much more likely to make an introduction to say, I think this person can help. Why don't you have a conversation yourself? I mean, what's the worst that can happen is you learn something that you can try. So that's why I encourage people like yourself to keep showing up when you are visible in communities that you're part of. You show up with a genuine curiosity about other people, ask them questions, keep the conversation going. Something changes. People remember you and how you're making them feel. They're not feeling like they're just being sold to. You have a true interest in who they are as a person. That will stand out in people's memories. And also probably a really good way for you to, when it's time, if it's time, ask for the coffee chat. That's how you get to understand what each other does. And then when an opportunity comes along, or they have this thing, or they're looking to have a speaker on their podcast, or they're having a workshop and they think you're the perfect partner to do it with, they're going to think of you because you have built a real relationship, not just exchanged business cards or, did your 30-second spiel and moved on. That's how you're standing out from the crowd in their memory. And it's this kind of a ripple effect. It's not created by one perfect conversation. It is created by constantly showing up. So here's my challenge to you, for you. I want you to think of one conversation that you've recently had that is still creating opportunities today. Then ask yourself, how can I create more moments like this? And I'm just going to remind you, keep commenting, keep showing up, keep inviting people for coffee, keep getting curious, because you never know which conversations will turn into a collaboration, a referral, a friendship, or your next client. That's why we're here. We're here to make money. Word of mouth referrals, or people who are raising their hand saying, you know what? I like what you do. I understand what you do. And now I'm going to trust you. I want to hire you. Those are often, in my experience, the best and the longest, most loyal clients that I've ever had. And if you'd like a community where these kind of conversations are happening every day, I'd love to welcome you into my school community. It's called the Marketing Momentum Collective. And when you're ready to build a system around those relationships, because the more you have, the more you have to keep track of, that is why I created the Growth Lab. It's here to help you turn those ripples into real momentum. Because remember, what do I always say? Content creates visibility. Conversations create opportunities, and relationships create those sales that we need as business owners. And we'll see you in the next one.